What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes catching up with the headliner for PFL 2025 World Tournament, first round 2. It's Josh Rettinghouse. He's facing Leandro Higo. We're going to talk about the bantamweight division, which is always popping no matter what promotion you're talking about. Josh, that's a nice responsibility, man, to headline a PFL event in 2025. You know, the being that there's PFL and Bellator talent, I like it.
Yeah, big opportunity. Feels right in my mind. It's exciting. You know, it's always exciting to be main event on any show, but to do it at that stage is pretty cool.
It's a trip because usually the fighters always have their fight gear. Right now, it looks like we're talking to a commission official or something like that. Do you are you like in dad mode right now, or do you have another job? Or
I'm working from home today, so I'm a CPA during the day. So I'm just trying to put out some fires. You know, I got some work meetings today. I gotta have a polo on for. Otherwise, I'm just chilling in normal clothes.
8 to 5 crunches numbers. After that, he punches faces. I love it.
Right.
How long have you been doing that? That's one of the tougher fields for to get schooling and then get into and then have success in.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it 9 years now, basically. Whatever, I don't even remember what year it was now when I fought Marlon Moraes. I was like a senior in college. Basically finished that out, got a job out of college. Was trying to figure out if I could do both. Somehow managed to keep doing both the whole time. So here we are.
Did you ever come close to putting accounting to the side and just focusing on him?
Many times. Yes.
What eventually stopped you? Just the numbers don't add up, or?
Yeah, I think so. It's a risky game to go all in on MMA. I think also I just thought, there was no reason I couldn't do both, and I thought, if I, was UFC top 15 or something, I would consider, switching things up. But just to do it at such a early level in the career just didn't make a lot of sense.
You ever have a client talk some smack, almost start the border on like, hey man, you want to take it outside type of talk? Little do they know who you are.
Nah, nobody's really talking smack. I mean, a lot of them know. It's kind of cool. I'm sure some of them will be watching here. But no, I've never had to put anybody in check.
Your nickname's the Finisher, but you can't get that on day one. So at what point did you get the nickname? Who gave it to you? And, if you look at the resume, there are a lot of finishes, so it's well-deserved.
Yeah, for sure. Never came up with that. My very first coach in MMA dubbed me that. He did a pro show and submitted the results with my nickname, the Finisher. And that was just, I think maybe it was my third pro fight or something. And I had finished 5 amateur fights and then my first 3 or 4 pro fights. And then he just started calling me that. And then lived up to it for a while. As you get to the higher level, it's hard to finish guys, but I still pride myself in being able to do that.
Let's say I was a billionaire and I wanted a goof. And I said, hey, Josh, quit your job. I'm going to give you $500,000. But going forward, you're Josh the Mouse Rettinghouse.
The Mouse?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I was in 9th grade, I had some kids calling me that as a nickname. So I don't know that it would bother me that much, especially for $500,000. Money talks. But
I hear you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd care that much.
Me and my brother play the what if game all the time. But no, man, your name should stick. You back it up. I only bring it up because there was a fighter. I'm sure you remember him. Nice guy too. And to be fair, he was exciting to watch. But his name was Sam Stout, and he was hands of stone. But he didn't have many KOs. And I know that started to build up. People would ask him about it. I don't know if it bothered him or not. And then eventually retired. Like I say, nice guy. He was in some great fights, made some money, and we enjoyed covering him. But sometimes that nickname can add pressure,
For sure. Yeah. I'm familiar with Sam Stout. That's funny. He didn't have a lot of knockouts, but yeah, I feel like I've got a lot of finishes. I'm still finishing guys fairly regularly. So I have no doubts about my ability to finish fights. It doesn't add any pressure for me.
Yeah. The bantamweight division is debuting here in the PFL because in previous years, as you know, they went from 145 on up. They had something for the ladies. They didn't even have middleweights.
Right.
But missing is Patchy Mix. Does that bother you at all, or do you think that takes anything away? You know, because this really could have added something to obviously the field, and then eventually winning the title if someone collides with him. That lifts everyone's profile.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't bother me that much because I don't mind winning it without him being in there. You know, like I'll take the easiest route possible, and I think he's obviously the best guy PFL has. So yeah, it doesn't bother me any. I was surprised to see that he's not in it. I was surprised he wouldn't want that opportunity. But yeah, it doesn't bother me. I mean, if the path is easier, I'm all for it.
Josh, I know that every fighter, well, I'm going to say 95% of every fighter probably wants a finish. You know, that's what they're going for, but somehow you're able to get them. Is there a secret recipe to it? Is there something that you do that other fighters don't? Or is it just circumstances that just kind of dictate how the fight ends?
Yeah, I think circumstances. I think fight IQ plays a big factor too. You know, they always say, you know, don't chase the knockout, things like that. But I think fight IQ is probably the biggest piece of it. And, you know, I pride myself on having a pretty high fight IQ. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. That's what I would point to.
What are your thoughts on your opponent when you first got the name and you play it out in your head? This is a crafty veteran, and he's been around the sport. You know, what do you think of his game, and do you kind of like getting him now?
Yeah, I've seen him quite a few times. Actually, I thought like mutual opponents in the past. So I'd studied some of his film just to watch the other guys he had fought. He's good. I think it's a great fight for me. I think style-wise makes a lot of sense for me. I think he's actually kind of similar. I don't feel like he's super dangerous anywhere. I think he's really good everywhere. I don't think he's great anywhere. I think it makes for a fun fight. And, you know, I've been on this kind of outside looking in for a while, and I kept telling myself as I'm kind of getting towards the end of my career, if I'm going to make a splash, it needs to be against a, you know, somewhere near the top 15 echelon of fighters. And I feel like he's kind of like right on that cusp. So I feel like I kind of got my wish there.
How soon into the fight do you have a general understanding of what you believe is going to happen, how the rest of the fight is going to play out? Is it a couple minutes into it? Does it just take time? When do you kind of start to feel everything playing out?
Yeah, I think every fight's different. Kind of depends on the pace of the fight. So could be 30 seconds in, could be 2.5, 3 minutes in. So we'll kind of see. I don't think, you know, Leandro is not a huge pressure fighter, so it could take a couple of minutes. But yeah, I think every fight's different. And, you know, I'd say probably by 2 minutes in, you should know how it's going to go.
What's something that you know about yourself that the rest of the audience maybe doesn't know that we would find interesting about you?
Oof, good question. I don't know. You know, I'm just a boring CPA, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I'm a pretty good golfer. I think I might be the best golfer in MMA.
Nice. There you go. I love the way you said it too. Talking some smack.
Yeah. I would take that challenge against anyone. All these guys, Justin Gaethje, DC, all these guys thinking they're good golfers. Yeah, I'm definitely the best golfer in MMA. I don't know if that's interesting, but
it is.
Like to fish. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, golfing's kind of like my big thing right now. So if I'm not training, I'm basically golfing.
You know, I just saw yesterday Dan Henderson was trying to get DC to come out to golf. And I've seen Dan do other sports, you know, at a minimum, like shoot a basketball, play ping pong, stuff like that.
Right.
Not so good. But I tend to believe you, especially with the polo on. The polo on says so much. You and I look like we're in some kind of Zoom meeting right now for accounts payable or something.
Right.
But yeah, that would be interesting. But what about mini golf though? That's where that's where now we step into the rankings. Are you good at that?
I don't know that I'm very good at it. I went with my wife a while back on a little date night thinking, oh, this will be easy. And she beat me. So, but she's pretty good at mini golf. So I don't know. Maybe she's just really good or I'm not good.
Did you share that sentiment on the way there? Like, oh, this will be easy, or was that in your head?
No, that was in my head. I was not going to share that.
My putting game's tight. So yeah, you guys don't want anything when it comes to that. Everything else, though, I'm a disaster. And Gagey in DC, I've seen them. They God bless them. They could probably be me, but yeah, they don't look the one bit the part if it comes to some serious golf. But all right, so throw out some numbers. What do you score normally, and what's your handicap?
I think I'm about a 10 right now. I'm shooting high 70s, low 80s regularly.
Oh wow. So
but it's kind of it's like preseason here, in the Northwest. You can't golf year round, so I'm gonna try to get a round in before heading out to Florida. That's my goal. Maybe get a round in while I'm there too.
Wow. How did you was that a family thing or a high school activity, or did you just pick it up on your own?
No, I played like a little bit when I was a kid. My grandpa was really into it, but I just, I wanted to play basketball and I thought it was so boring. And then actually getting into accounting, we were doing all these fundraisers and all this stuff and didn't want to look terrible in front of clients. So started just playing more, and the next thing I know, I got the bug and then just started playing for fun.
That does have the accounting all over it.
Yeah, for sure.
You're from the Spokane area?
Yeah. Born and raised in Spokane. I live over across the border now in Idaho, but I mean, it's all kind of the same thing.
How did you think basketball was boring when a guy named John Stockton came from Spokane, and everyone would have thought he was a god?
Golf was boring. I love basketball.
Oh,
yeah. No, I love basketball. Basketball was my first love.
You pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I was pretty good. I just, as I got older, learned about genetics, realized I wasn't going to be 6 feet tall. Just had to make a switch,
Are you the best hoopster in MMA?
I mean, I might be. I would put money on that too. I mean, maybe not, some of these, I don't know if I could play against Cyril Gahn or something, but anybody maybe welterweight and below, I'd put my money on myself.
I saw John Jones shooting baskets in New York at a Knicks practice or something. He's awful.
Yeah, I can see.
So if you have good hand-eye coordination, and you probably need it for golf,
for sure,
and there's a good chance you might be the guy.
Yeah.
I've always said this: MMA athletes are obviously phenomenal athletes for our sport, but when I've seen them trudge into other sports, usually they're abysmal, man. It's
they're terrible. It's wrestlers are like that too. But see, I grew up playing basketball and all these other sports. I didn't even start wrestling until high school. So I feel like some of that coordination has kind of helped me throughout the years.
All right, Goes has one more. What do you have for Josh Rettinghouse? By the way, folks, let me straighten things out for you. We're talking here on a Thursday, and there are fights tonight. Tonight's the first event for PFL. However, Josh is headlining next week's event. It's on Friday, and it's a late start, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus for the main card. So make a note of that. There'll be Thursday, week one, and then Friday for this event. All right, Goes, finish up with Josh.
Josh, so early on in the interview, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you just kind of alluded to, before you wrap it up, all that. Have you ever thought of that? Does this kind of feel like a last stand for you? Because this is kind of a big deal right now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I keep kind of telling my wife, she's been asking me when I'm going to stop doing this stuff. I keep telling her if I lose, I'm basically done, right? I don't really feel like I can afford a loss at this point in my career. And so, as long as I keep winning, we'll see what happens. Winning this tournament would be a huge feather in my cap. And then we kind of just take it from there. But, yeah, that's kind of the game plan right now. I feel like it's one fight at a time, and any fight can be my last.
Josh, this is just a silly question to kind of close up, but if you're handling my taxes this year and you just had a fight and you got a big shiner and a bloody lip, and I say, hey, let's get on Zoom and talk about it. Like, do you have to go through the whole explanation? Do you avoid these types of phone calls? How does that play out? Because I got to imagine when you pop in, their first reaction is like, whoa, what happened to you,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I don't plan on getting any black eyes, first off, so hopefully that doesn't happen. God willing. But no, and second off, I don't do taxes, but I do some other stuff in the same field. But yeah, maybe I'll just turn the camera off or something if that were the case.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Isn't this a busy season for you to be doing what you're doing, which is fighting and training and golfing, but you just cleared it up. You don't do the tax part, huh?
I don't do tax work, but like our busy season is very similar. I mean, I've been working 55 hours a week for the last month and a half, 2 months. And I'm actually getting ready to tell a couple of my bosses today that I'm going to have limited availability next week. So, but
You haven't filled them in on that yet?
You haven't said anything?
What's that?
You haven't filled them in on that yet?
Not quite. I've got a lot of flexibility. I'm gonna bring my computer with me and stuff too, so I can kind of keep things moving. But yeah, we'll see how it goes over.
Are they fans of your other gig?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've had a couple
okay.
like local fights out here, and like had like the whole firm come out and cheer it on and everything. So it's been cool. They've been pretty supportive.
Yeah. Did the wife ask you about your career because she wants you to wrap it up, or is she into it?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of fighters, we ask them that, and they'll say, "No, man, the wives want us to keep going till the wheels fall off." But it sounds like, all right.
No, we're not. Maybe if this was like my sole income or something, but we're fortunate and blessed to be in a good financial position. This is, not 500 grand would be nice, but still not in it for the money, and just here for the fight. So, yeah, she's wondering when we can put it to rest and play pickleball and golf and go on hikes. So,
yeah, man, I'll tell you what. Only because it's relevant. Honestly, I don't like to bring up anything that's controversial, but that Dow, that S&P hit a hit today, and a lot of people are talking about it. I guess, what do you do with 500K at this point? Like, do you have any advice for anyone that listens that ever comes into money? How would you advise? I guess maybe this is unethical. I don't know, for you to give free advice, but
no, not at all. I mean, I'm not a financial planner anyways, but personally, I like real estate. That's probably what I would do with the money. We have a couple rental houses and stuff, so that's probably what I would do with it. I think tangible assets are probably the best thing that you can do. A couple people will tell you, the stock market's a casino. So some people play it well and some people don't play it well. But yeah, I don't put a ton of money into the stock market.
Rentals or Airbnbs?
We have rentals, but I wouldn't be opposed to Airbnb. But all the city stuff, cities have different laws and stuff. I don't know. I'm not that into it, but I've heard they're good.
Are you close to Idaho State or Idaho out of the two universities?
Oh, University of Idaho. So like Washington State and then University of Idaho are like right across the border from each other.
Oh, I see. My nephew / godson is the starting quarterback for Idaho State.
Oh, nice.
So
right.
My goal is to try and get up there for one game and check it out and see.
Oh.
So I'm just trying to figure out what's around,
Yeah. That's like, Idaho's like the boot. That's like down in the bottom right down there.
And this thing's like on the panhandle, the top?
Yeah, I'm up on the panhandle.
By any chance, are you the best football player in all of MMA?
I feel like I'm pretty decent, but my size would probably say otherwise. But I had
Maybe
pretty
like
good
a
hands.
throwing contest or something.
I could catch anything. I could catch anything. That's for sure.
You want to hear a funny story? Because I thought the same. By the way, the minute that guy from ATT goes, what's his name? Greg Hardy stepped into MMA.
Oh yeah,
I think he's got that one down. Best football player.
For sure.
Yeah.
But same thing. I thought, I'm way older now, but when I would horse around with my friends, I had good hands. I considered myself someone that had good hands. And then that nephew, I took him and two other nieces to Red Robin. We had burgers and everything. And then I go, hey, let me see what your gun's like, And I had a football. I brought a football on purpose. And we're in the parking lot at Red Robin. Dude, a college quarterback can hum it, man. I mean, I saw this thing coming and I'd get my hands on it, but it would still skip.
Dang,
and my nieces are laughing. I look like a fool. I'm trying to blame it on the sun, even though the sun's not even out. But man, they can fire it, man, at that next level. So I don't know if you've ever taken passes from like
no. I was gonna say, to be fair, I haven't taken any passes like that.
Ooh, man, there's smoke on those things. I have a big appreciation now for some of those guys that even one-hand it, in the end zone. And then when someone drops it, you're like, I'll give him a pass if it was a bullet. But hey, man, listen, it's been real fun talking to you. You're a real interesting cat. So thanks for the time. As
For
busy
sure.
as you are, you squeezed us in here with 1 week to go. And we'll definitely be watching you and Leandro Higo throw down in the main event in that second round of fights that the PFL is having out in Orlando, Florida. Thanks, Josh, for the time.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.